What?
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you. So we're live on Facebook.
Yay!
What do you think?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Andrea, so many people these days, they say like it's 70% of people in United States take a multivitamin.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, 70%. So we're the information is getting out there to a large percentage of people, right?
Yeah, that they need supplements, right?
Yeah, they know, they realize that maybe they're missing some key nutrients in their diet, but yet I think that they believe that if they take a simple multivitamin, they're getting everything that they need.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we know that's not the case because there's been lots of studies done about just multivitamins you can buy on, the big box store shelf, and that they really are not very effective. They usually don't have the ingredients in them, quality ingredients. They don't have the right amount of ingredients in them. And that there's that old story about people who run around with porta-johns and they say they find everybody's vitamins down in the bottom of a porta-john when they clean them out. So you have to have some quality product.
That's right. Yeah, like you were saying, Andrea, that's really true. That a lot of vitamins they use poor quality ingredients when they're making the product.
Right.
And then when they might actually be using good quality ingredients initially. Mm-hmm. But because of the processing to put the ingredients into the pill, then they destroy the great properties.
Right.
Kind of like when you take food. If you take food and you overcook it, right, you're going to cook the vitamins out of it.
Yep.
Or if you cook something and you let it sit and you maybe eat it sometime later during the day or whatever, same thing. The nutrients are given off into the air, or they're oxidized, from the heat, whatever, right? But that's what happens when they're making a lot of vitamin products, is that they just the process of grinding it up, the process of mixing it up, it destroys a lot of the ingredients that go in it. So they might start with a great product. Let's just assume they start with great ingredients, right?
Okay.
And but by the time they put it into a pill, like you said, you can go into these porta-johns and they find it in the bottom because they had to compress it so hard to make everything stick together. And then they coat it with a shellac that I think I read like 97% of us can't dissolve the shellac.
Right. And that's why they don't dissolve in your body.
Yeah. But I think that's why a lot of these vitamin companies started popping up over the last decade or so, where they said, oh, look, our product, it's a liquid product. Oh, look, ours is a gel, ours is a gummy vitamin, ours is this, ours is that. And so they started coming out with products with different forms of delivery, thinking that was going to solve the problem. And that really isn't the case, is it?
No.
Because they still end up with products that just aren't quality products and that. But, I just wanted to share something here. If we take a look, here, hang on with me here. Can you see that?
Yes, vitamins for chronic disease prevention in adults.
Yeah. So this is a from the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, right? And this goes way back to June 19th, 2002. And so it says, I'll read that to you there. It says vitamin deficiency syndromes such as scurvy and bearberry are uncommon in Western societies. However, suboptimal intake of some vitamins above levels causing classic vitamin deficiency is a risk factor for chronic diseases and common in the general population, especially the elderly.
You're right.
It talks about vitamin B6. It talks about vitamin B12, causing risk factors for cardiovascular disease, neural tube defects, which is a birth defect, colon and breast cancer. Suboptimal levels of vitamins are the causes. This is what the Journal of the American Medical Association came out and said way back in 2002.
Okay.
And so they said that pending strong evidence says that it's apparent that it's prudent for all adults to take vitamin supplements. And the evidence for tailoring the contents of the multivitamins is specific for the characteristics of the patient's age, sex, physical activity, and for vitamin levels for that person. So aren't they really saying that that the vitamins need to be addressed for each person, right?
Yeah, it seems like the American Medical Association would read their own article.
Well, it's interesting. This came out in 2002, and I remember when this article came out, and you can see here, there's it talks about suboptimal levels of folic acid, vitamin D, vitamin C. You know, I mean, they're just going on. They're saying that, for example, if you keep your food hot for longer than 2 hours, you lose 10% of the vitamin C, 10% of the folic acid, 10% of the vitamin B6, and then 30% is lost when you store it and reheat it. And then if a person consumes alcohol, it lowers some of those vitamins again, and you can't absorb it, and vitamin B12. And so it says that there's three options for correcting the suboptimal intake. You know, and the first one they talk about, which is, you know, the best, get it from your diet, right?
Right.
But what's the problem with getting it from your diet?
Well, that our produce today comes out of depleted soils, so you don't have the mineral content and stuff in the soil that they had 40, 50 years ago. And so if you can actually go to the, what is the regulation, the agricultural website, you know, and you can see they'll have a table.
The USDA?
Yeah, that one. Showing you, you know, like what's in broccoli today compared to in the 1940s.
That's
and
right.
It's crazy. It's crazy
That's
how
right.
little we have in our food now.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's what their conclusion is. For these reasons, that's one of the reasons, vitamin supplementation, you know, just it's necessary, right? A second option is to add vitamins to the food. So they added vitamin D to milk. They added different B vitamins to cereals, things like that. And, you know, that's again, it's another option, right?
Well, kind of, you know, most processed food, they take all the good stuff out and then they put a portion of it back and call it enriched.
Yep. So that's the problem. And so then what their conclusion back in 2002 was, it causes mistrust because the food companies are adding chemicals to their food.
Right.
And then it says here in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, it says the third option is for individuals to take vitamin supplements. And so we go on to say that it contains the basic multivitamins, each containing at least 100% of the daily value, the RDA, and so-called vitamins often contain food supplements such as minerals and herbs, and so, you know, they go on to talk about that. What do you think of most store brands?
Well, I think we've kind of covered that. You know, most store brands are low quality. And we just talked about that. I mean, basically, they don't dissolve. They're coated with a shellac material. Your body won't break them down. And they just don't have the quality that you want. If you're really trying to get healthy, why not get something that's really going to work?
Yeah. You see, I switched the screen. Do you see that?
Yeah, vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, so it's the National Institute on Aging. National Institute on Aging. So this is a good source, right? It's a good reference.
Right?
If you're a medical doctor or you're a healthcare provider, you kind of trust what they say. I mean, this comes from United States Department of I can't read what it says up there. Hang on one second. Of Health and Human Services, right?
Right.
So if you're a consumer, if you're a doctor, if you're a healthcare provider, wouldn't you trust this?
Well, I would certainly suppose that it has correct information in it.
Yeah. So here's what it says. It says vitamins that help your body grow and work the way it should. There are 13 vitamins, A, C, D, E, K, and B vitamins. That's all they list. They say there's 13 vitamins, and they say vitamins have different jobs, helping you resist infections, keep your nerves healthy, help your body get energy from food or blood to clot properly. And by following the dietary guidelines, you will get enough of most of these vitamins from your food. Okay, so I just showed you an article from the Journal of the American Medical Association, and now I'm showing you an article from the Journal of the National Institutes of Aging. And aren't they giving you kind of a mixed message?
They sure are.
Yeah. So as a physician or as a healthcare provider, which one do you listen to? Well, you're probably going to go to another source, right?
Have you got one?
Yeah. So look at this one. Where's this from?
Harvard Health Publishing.
Harvard. So again, kind of a reputable source, right?
Well, you would think so.
Yeah. So here's their article. It says, do you need a daily supplement? And like we were saying, 70% of people take some kind of a multivitamin. This is from September of last year, by the way.
Okay. Fairly recent.
Yeah. So here's what they go on to say. They say over-the-counter dietary supplements are big business. So here's how they kind of taint the article. You know the articles will be tainted right away from the beginning. Over-the-counter dietary supplements are big business. Over 90,000 products generate $30 billion a year in the United States. Older adults make up the big part of these sales too, right? 70% take a multivitamin, 54% take more than one, and almost 30% take 4 or more. And then they say, is it good medicine or a waste of money? So again, if you're my doctor and you've just read the National Institutes of Aging report and you just read from Harvard, what are you going to tell me?
I don't know. Let's go on. What does Harvard say?
Well, they go on to say that it's big business, that we really don't need it, that in fact, a study published May 28th, 2018 from the American Journal or the American College of Cardiology found that the 4 most commonly used supplements, multivitamins, vitamin D, calcium, and vitamin C, did not protect against cardiovascular disease. So this is what they're measuring it. This is their measure. Did it prevent cardiovascular disease?
Well, did they prevent inflammation in the body?
They're not looking at that.
Did they prevent free radical damage, oxidative stress?
So here's what the doctor from Harvard went on to say. Dr. Manson said, so why do so many people take supplements if the health benefits are negligible? So they just based it on the fact that that they're saying that these 4 vitamins don't do anything for cardiovascular disease. And I would dare to differ on that as well. But they say that it's negligible for the benefiting of your health. So why would they take it if the benefits are non-existent for the average healthy person? Right?
Yeah.
Why do people believe that vitamins are good if we just got done saying that the American College of Cardiology said that it's not good?
Well, if people are taking supplements and they're getting results from them, it doesn't matter what these guys say. I mean, it's based on whether you think it's working for you.
Yeah. But you have to look at what they're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
So number one, when they test multivitamins, chances are, what multivitamin are they grabbing?
I don't even know.
They're probably grabbing the most popular one in the United States, right?
Right.
And we know what that one is. We won't name the name because we
Right.
don't want to get in trouble
And
for slamming another company.
We know it doesn't break down. We know it doesn't do anything. So if they're
Yeah.
testing that.
Yeah, we know that they're putting inadequate levels of vitamins in there, and they're destroying the vitamin nutrient content when they process the vitamin. Even the doctor that helped develop that vitamin, I mean, he told me in a conversation, he said, you might as well drive down the road and throw it out the window. It'll do you just as much good that way. But that's what they're testing on. Then they're testing on vitamin D supplementation. Well, vitamin D supplementation by itself, yeah, it's probably not going to lower your risk of heart disease. Calcium, most calcium supplements are made with the wrong kind of calcium. They're made with calcium that's not really that healthy. And then, according to the studies that I've read, a lot of calcium supplements contain lead, high levels of lead. And what does lead do for the heart?
Makes it real heavy.
What?
Makes it heavy.
Makes it heavy. But, lead is actually unhealthy for the heart, for the cardiovascular system, because it plugs the arteries. It starts to cause atherosclerosis. And so if you have a calcium supplement that has lead in it,
well, you don't want lead.
You don't want lead for the cardiovascular system. But again, here, that's what they're testing, is they're testing a calcium that probably contains high levels of lead. And therefore, you're kind of, you're not really doing an adequate study. And then you're testing just simply vitamin C by itself. So they're taking and they're testing the wrong supplements in the first place. And then they're testing it on people. They're saying for the average healthy person. Well, Andrea, come on.
Right.
How many average healthy people do you really know?
That would be a huge variable right there.
I mean, first of all, when I say average, I'm going to be taking everybody and I'm going to average it out. And I'm going to say, this is the average health. Well, the average health means that chances are I've got high cholesterol, I've got high blood sugars, I'm not drinking enough water, I'm not getting enough fiber. So that's who they're testing this on, and that's who they're comparing us to. Is that really adequate?
No.
No. I mean, for you folks that are listening on Facebook right now, I mean, come on. Give us a thumbs up if this is starting to make sense. Let me know your thoughts on this, because really, I mean, let's be honest. They're trying to skew the information, and why are they doing that, Andrea?
Well, because they want you to. They don't have anything invested in supplements. Doctors invest in medical situations, invest in big pharma. So they want people on drugs.
Bingo. You just said the key word I was waiting for you to say. Big pharma wants you on drug, because if we all start taking supplements and we all start preventing heart disease, guess what? We've just stole a bunch of money from their pocketbooks.
Right. And you have to, two words, fake news. You have to really digest where your source is coming from. And sometimes you don't even know where your source is coming from, because they go out and make like fake, let's say fake social media accounts, and they promote something. I can remember like 3 years ago, everybody just started going nuts over coconut oil, the benefits of coconut oil for the brain, for dementia, for the body, and everybody started doing coconut oil, right? The next thing that started coming across my news feed was, is coconut oil really good for you? And then it was, research has proven coconut oil doesn't do anything. I mean, it just started popping up day after day, because everybody was into discovered that coconut oil is good for you.
Right.
They threw out their propaganda saying, oh, is it really, they raised the question, is it good for you? And then, oh, well, we really don't think it does anything, so you have to really understand your source. And like, I know from talking with people who've been in some different support groups, a lot of support groups for these diseases that people are, experiencing, and they end up, it's kind of a life-changing situation, so they go to a support group. A lot of these support groups are actually funded by big pharma. And when you get in there, they don't want to talk about really getting rid of the conditions or the symptoms or anything like that. The people who lead it will talk about the different medications that are available.
That's right. I've gotten kicked out of support groups.
Medications.
I got kicked out of a couple support groups.
I know somebody who did too.
But here's another study. Did that one pop up on your screen there?
Should you take dietary supplements? Yep.
Yeah, National Institutes of Health, right? Again, if you're a doctor, this is going to be something that this is going to be one of your sources of information, right?
Well, you would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it said this is August 2013, by the way. And it says, when you reach for that bottle of vitamin C or fish oil pills, you might wonder how well they'll work and if they're safe. The first thing you should ask yourself is whether you need them in the first place. More than half of Americans take one or more dietary supplements on a daily basis. Supplements are available without prescription, usually come in pill, powder, liquid. Common supplements include minerals, vitamins, and herbal products known as botanicals. People take these supplements to make sure they get enough essential nutrients and to maintain and improve their health. But not everyone needs to take supplements. And this is what Carol Hagen's a registered dietitian consultant to the NIH. She said it's possible to get all the nutrients you need by eating a variety of healthy foods. You don't have to take one.
That is not true. It's like if you go out and look at some of this other, you'd have to eat like 2 bushels of blueberries, and you'd have to eat like, just tons of food to get the nutrient value that you need.
That's right. That's right. That's the whole thing, is that I'm starting to, I thought I'd pulled up an article that talked about how much food you had to eat, and they had they gave this diet, and they said, oh, if you eat this diet, you're going to get all the vitamins you need. And they said, oh, you have to eat, like a cupful of yogurt every day with granola in it. And you have to eat a piece of salmon or oily fish every day. And you have to do this and you have to do that. And I thought, oh my God, Andrea, I couldn't follow that diet.
Right.
I mean, if I'm having to radically change my diet in order to get the vitamins that I need, is it any different than taking a supplement?
No. In fact, taking a high quality supplement would be much better, because typically somebody who turns out a high quality supplement, it's an extract. It's super loaded with nutrients. That's
right. So you look at this again. Here's the National Institutes of Health. They say, they tell your doctor, they tell the average consumer, if anybody pays attention to this, the National Institutes of Health, they say, you don't need vitamins. Here's Harvard. Harvard says you don't need supplements. Here's the National Institutes of Aging. They say you don't need supplements. And way over here, the Journal of the American Medical Association says that it's prudent that we all take supplements. Who do you believe?
Well, let's see. Our consensus is don't take supplements.
So let's look at who's a member of the Journal of the American Medical Association. Did you know that a lot of doctors, I think it's like close to 70% of doctors aren't even members of their own association?
Really?
So they didn't read this article. Right. But they read this article, and they read this article, and they read this article. Mm-hmm. Andrea, so if I was big pharma and I was the one trying to promote sales of pharmaceutical agents, I'd market in these three things right here. I wouldn't market in the Journal of the American Medical Association.
Right.
I'd go where these doctors are going and all of that. So let's go to another study. You see this one?
Well-fed, but undernourished.
Yep. So this is from the Kresser Institute. This is a guy who, a medical doctor who does studies. And he says, so despite abundant food supply, research indicates that Americans are significantly deficient in many critical nutrients. Several factors are responsible for well-fed but undernourished epidemics sweeping the nation, including a high intake of processed food, declining levels of nutrients in our soil, and the increasing prevalence of chronic health conditions that influence nutrient needs. Read on to learn about the epidemic of undernourishment in the United States and other parts of the developed world, and learn how you can help your clients maximize nutrient intake to create a foundation for lasting health. So nutrient deficiency in developing nations. So basically they're saying that in third world countries, sure, we have a problem with calories and protein and iodine and iron and vitamin A and zinc and things like that. But in the developed world, what happens is that in the land of the plenty, like here in the United States, we have lots of calories, don't we? 3,600 calories a day. That's a 24% increase from 1961. But a wide range of nutrient deficiencies. So he goes on to say that more than half of the calories Americans consume comes from nutrient depleted, ultra-processed foods, including refined flours and industrial seed oils. It's no surprise that many people are undernourished. And so he goes on to say a recent study conducted by the National Health and Nutritional Examination Survey indicates that the U.S. children and adults have high rates of deficiencies of some of these common vitamins.
Right.
So how can it be that you have the Journal of the American Medical Association saying, you know, we have some problems. You have this researcher saying we have some serious problems, and he's basing on the National Health and Nutritional Examination Survey. And then you have the Harvard and the National Institute of Aging, the National Institute of Health saying, oh, no, not problem at all, right? So when they look at what's called the estimated average requirements, that's nutrient intake estimated to meet the requirement of half of the healthy individuals in the group, half. And that's called the EAR. And the EAR says that there's nutrient deficiency extremely prevalent in the United States, extremely prevalent in the United States. And then the RDA, we've all heard of the RDA, the recommended daily dietary allowance, right? And that used to be called the minimum recommended allowance. Mm-hmm. Now it's the recommended allowance. Why did that change? Why did it go from the recommended allowance to the minimum, right? And so that also says that people are deficient. So here, look at some of this. It says that 1/3 of the United States population is at risk for one vitamin deficiency or anemia. 1/3, that's 30%. 23% are at risk for anemia or deficiency of 1, 2, 3, or 5 vitamins. 1% of American adults are deficient on vitamin A. 1/3 have insufficient vitamin B6. 1%, and I think it's actually higher than vitamin B12. 3% have inadequate levels of folic acid. 1% vitamin C. 4% vitamin E. 3% iron. 95% of adults and 98% of teens have inadequate vitamin D. I mean, Andrea, let's just call that 100%. Why don't we?
Yeah, right.
I mean, let's round it up to the nearest whole number, which means 100%. We're all deficient in vitamin D. 61% of adults don't get enough magnesium. 90% of teenagers.
And magnesium is so important.
We're hearing more and more and more about that, right? And so So, researchers are saying oh, it's just a low number of people that have problems, but yet based on this, statistics say that there's an underestimation of the true scope of the nutrient deficiency in the United States. Why? Because the RDA is required to avoid acute symptoms, not promote optimum health. It measures scurvy and rickets.
Mm-hmm.
The RDA, we should just take that and throw it away. It means nothing, right? You and I have talked about that before. It doesn't consider nutrient synergy, that you need enough vitamin D to get enough calcium, right? And if you don't have enough calcium, you don't have enough vitamin D, then it's probably going to cause problems with others, because they all work together, right?
Yes, they all work together.
Then it talks about your environment. Like, you live way up there in the north part of Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and you're probably not getting adequate sunlight. So you're not going to convert the vitamin D from the sun into usable vitamin D, right? You're not going to activate it.
No, I try to do that every day.
Yeah, but in the wintertime, do you lay out?
Oh, no, in the wintertime, I don't get any.
Right here in North Dakota, I mean, yesterday we thought winter was coming back already. It was getting so cold out. Had to wear a jacket in the end of June. And then, so then they go on to say that the RDAs and the EARs are established based on the needs of healthy individuals. Considering that 1 in 2 Americans has a chronic disease, that's 50%, and 1 in 4 has multiple chronic disease, that's 25%. Healthy means nothing.
Right. Not much. There aren't too many healthy people out there.
Based on this, it's not very many people, is it? So the health implications of these nutrient deficiencies can't be understated. And it goes on to just say that we're in a disease epidemic. It goes on to talk about the standard American diet and the nutritional travesty. And we just the people here in our country are undernourished. And then on top of it, we don't eat fresh fruits, vegetables, even grains. We don't even eat fresh grain. We eat stuff that's all processed. The unhealthy soil, like you were talking about, produces nutrient poor. And we were just talking about fulvic acid and humic acid last week, weren't we?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, if we don't have that, we just can't have healthy food. And you know how many searches I had to do to find the real guts on this problem? I mean, if you go on and if you do a Google search, Andrea, and you do a Google search and you just search, are we getting adequate vitamins from our diet? You're going to find 100 articles that say yes. So to the average consumer,
they think they are.
They think they are. Look at this in the dark print there. Many chronic diseases are associated with alterations in the gut microbiota, the gut microbiome. Weren't we just talking about that last week?
Yeah, we did a whole topic on it.
Yeah. So, and Tom was just talking about it on a call right before this call, Tom Sr., and he said the epidemic of chronic disease afflicting the United States and associated changes in the gut microbiome might be one reason that Americans are experiencing such high rates of malnutrition. So, Andrea, I'll say this. Let's just assume you're getting all your vitamins from your food, which we know you aren't, but let's just assume that you are. If your gut's not healthy, does it really matter?
No, because it's not going to process the vitamins and minerals correctly.
That's right. Because if you have leaky gut, you're not going to absorb the nutrients.
Right.
On top of it, you're going to absorb some bad nutrients on top of it. So then it goes on, increasing exposure to environmental toxins like lead, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, interrupt the absorption, metabolism, and utilization of essential vitamins over time and leads to deficiency of calcium, iron, and zinc.
Yep.
Food allergies, food intolerances. And then he goes on to, say that, advise your clients and patients to eat a nutrient-dense whole food diet. Hey, we can't argue with that, right?
Right.
I mean, Andrea, if I'm your doctor and I say, go home and eat a very good diet with lots of vitamins and minerals for whole food, you're going to do your best to do that, right?
Right. But there's only so much you can do.
That's right. And your grocery store, I mean, you live up in northern Michigan, you don't have fresh fruits and vegetables all year round.
No, it's all shipped in.
Yeah, I mean, the grocery store is going to say it's fresh, because if I go into the grocery store here in Fargo, North Dakota in the middle of January, and they say, here's the fresh produce, I kind of got to laugh a little bit, right?
Right.
Fresh as compared to what?
Well, they kept it fresh.
I mean, it was fresh when I don't even know if it was fresh when they picked it. So
Probably not. Most of it isn't. And then that creates a whole other problem with your gut.
yeah. So there we go, Andrea. Topic of discussion. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that we presented enough evidence that we can say we're not in the ballpark, we're not getting what we need from our diet?
Right.
No matter how you add it up, we're not getting enough, are we?
No, not at all.
Not at all. So we got to think about what we're doing, right? And, you and I, we've gotten pretty, conscious of what we buy, what we do. I mean, I would say that, I've hung around you enough that you eat pretty healthy. I've watched what you eat. And I mean, you grow some of your own fruit, your own vegetables there. I try and buy mostly fresh food and that I can, and try and buy stuff that's in season. And I eat good. I make sure that my meat comes from good sources, all of that. But wouldn't you say that even though we're probably in that upper echelon of people that are in the know, we still need supplements?
Yes, definitely.
And even with your supplements and your good diet, aren't you still at risk of health problems?
I'm not going to claim that over myself.
Right? I mean, we're still at risk because we're still exposed to toxins that we may not know about. I'm breathing, I'm drinking water. I'm eating food. Sometimes you got to go hang with your friends and you may not eat the healthiest, right?
Right.
So you might be exposed to something and sometimes that can cause issues.
But, if you are doing all the things that you and I try to do, and if you're supplementing and giving your body a better chance at optimizing its health, then you'll be able to overcome that. Your body is designed to heal itself.
That's right.
But you have to give it the correct things to make that work. You can't take a machine and not put the right ingredients in it, expect a good result. You have to be putting the correct stuff in it. And then you're a miracle, really. Your body is a miracle. Really? It will heal itself. It will heal everything you've got. I don't care what you've got. They used to say that, if you had brain damage, that's how you have brain damage. Well, now they know that's not true. They can adjust that with supplements and they can help. Every part of your body will restore itself.
That's right.
You just have to give it the right stuff to do it. That's
right. And I don't know. I mean, let's just conclude that, that if you're wise, if you're thinking, if your brain is turned on, the gears are clicking together and everything's working, you're gonna probably conclude that you need to be doing something.
Right.
You need to be doing something. And there's so many studies out there. This last weekend on Sunday, I found a report that said you can that you can lower your risk of pancreatic cancer by keeping a healthy microbiome.
Wow, that's important then, isn't it?
Yeah, they found that like, I don't remember what percentage, I can't remember, but it was a huge percentage of people with pancreatic cancer benefited by improving the microbiome, and that's what we talked about with fulvic acid and humic acid and fucoid, and we can't take cures or treats or anything like that, but what we're doing is we're optimizing the way that the body reacts in certain situations.
Yes, giving it all the support that it needs.
And some people might say to you, they say, Andrea, well, am I going to get too much?
Well, I don't think you can get too much. I mean, almost all minerals or vitamins, if you get too much, the body just eliminates them.
It dumps them out. I mean, if I take too much of, say, B vitamins, for example, I might pee a little bit different colored urine.
Yeah.
It might have a little bit of a smell to it. It's just like if you eat asparagus, you're going to have kind of that sulfury smell, right?
Right.
But I would rather have a little bit too much than not enough.
Right.
Because, the body knows how to get rid of it. The problem comes in when we have synthetic vitamins.
Correct.
A number of years ago, I want to say it was probably 15 years ago or so, maybe not quite that long, but let's just say right around 12, 15 years ago, there was a study that came out and it said that vitamin E, the intake, taking vitamin E, it lowered your risk of cardiovascular disease.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so we saw a lot of people taking vitamin E supplementation.
Right.
Then a study came out within a year and it said vitamin E caused heart disease.
Synthetic vitamin E.
They didn't say that. They just said vitamin E causes heart disease. And so as a physician, I was presented with that problem. My patients were asking me, they're like, hey, doc, you told us to take vitamin E to prevent heart disease. And now over here is a study that says that it causes heart disease. Doc, we got to go with the study. You're just one doctor. Here's a study.
Right.
And so I was like, holy cow. I mean, was I wrong? And so I went back and I started reading the studies, and the study presented clear evidence. On one side, it was good. On one side, it was bad. And so the consumer is just going to go, what do I do?
Right.
And so I started reading the sources of the information. And that's when I found out exactly what you just said. The study that showed that the vitamin E was bad for you, they were using a synthetic form of vitamin E.
Right.
The study that showed heart disease was good for, that vitamin E was good for heart disease, they used natural vitamin E.
Do you suppose they did that on purpose? That's a thought.
Right? I don't know. I mean, Andrea, I think I'm with you on that. I'm thinking that whoever did the second study probably didn't use a good source of vitamin E on purpose.
Yeah, because everybody's going on it, preventing cardiac disease.
Right? I mean, if you say, hey, doc, if you say, Kurt, can you give me a study that shows that vitamin C is bad for you? I'm going to do my best to find all the studies, all the references that show that vitamin C is bad.
Yep.
And I'm not going to look at the ones that say it's good. I'm just going to.
Sad?
Huh?
Isn't that sad? That we're in a battle with the people who are really supposed to be wanting us to be healthy.
That's
We're
right.
with them.
Yeah.
So you have to make decisions on your own. You have to do some research. You have to tune into calls like this to get a different perspective on what might be happening out there, because so many people will say, well, 2 years ago it was good for you. now it's bad for you. And they're just confused.
That's right.
You know, not that we know everything, but we can actually, help you open your mind up.
Wait. We don't know everything? Well, you might not.
Well, my granddaughter thinks I know everything. I used
That's
to
right.
tell her I knew everything, and she said to her mom once, she asked her mom a question, and her mom said, I don't know. And she says, you know what, we'll ask grandma because she knows everything.
There you go. Well, that's right. That's why you're on the call with me, because
because I know everything.
You know everything, and everything that you don't know, I know it.
There we go.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for being with us today. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the subject material, if you learned something today. Share it with people. Get this out to people, and let them know that there are some answers that might be different than what you hear from other people, and think outside the box once in a while. So, Andrea, I'll let you close out the call. Thanks for being here every Tuesday.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you're watching this live, give us a little comment live. If you're watching it after the fact, then just put a recording on there, so we know who's watching live, who's watching the recordings. And we thank you, Doc, for being on here each and every Tuesday at noon. And thank you very much for joining us, and share this call so other people are more enlightened to how they can optimize their health. Have a great day.
Thanks, Andrea.
Bye.
Bye-bye.